Hello, welcome to another AIMBOT. Am I morally bankrupt or them? I'm thinking it's them. It has to be them. No, it's the children that are wrong. It is the children. Welcome to another edition of AIMBOT. I'm Mark Reed, and I'll be your host here for this slightly mad session of consensual, solicited judgment of others. So if you've never been to an aimbot, what are we doing? We're essentially doing a going on to Am I the Arsehole on Reddit and applying some of our morality to it, see if we can. Like before I start, I usually like to give a bit of a rant or soliloquy or some kind of observation or talking about something that I've found in the last thing. So we will do that. But when it comes to morality, I apply secular humanism. I find it to be interesting, good, useful, practical, and sort of in line with what we need to make things a good place, which is really the intention of secular humanism is doing what's in the best interests of humans, or doing what is in the best interests of all humans. So yeah. Alas, poor theist, I knew them well. So a bit of shout outs to start off with. Hello, left-handed Jedi. Always a pleasure to see you. And Andrew, so good to see you. I must admit, I've taken a break for the last couple of days, just to refresh and rewind. And I do apologize for starting slightly later. I had some technical issues, so I've my second monitor wasn't working, and I feel naked, afraid, and alone without my second monitor. So I had to steal Lynn's. Poor Lynn. She doesn't know, but I've stolen her stuff as per usual. So give a big shout out to Lynn. Thank you for your donation of a second monitor. I can't live without it. I don't know. I've grown up like going through work. I cannot survive without a second monitor these days. I think ever since I did I've been working in corporate. The second monitor is absolutely essential. But lately, what I came across was I can't do a fundamentalist vote. You do have Lynn emojis. How dare you, Jer? How dare you? How dare you? Excuse me, Jer. Hello, Jer. Good to see you. Hello, Jerry. Good to see you, mate. I specifically put a Lynn emoji in there. Look. There's your Lynn emoji. There you go. So what I came across lately, and I can't do a fundamentalist fails on it because it is too copyright toxic. Can I like coin that term, copyright toxic? Like when somebody has doing copyright for literally any of their thing used. I think copyright toxic. Yes, that is Lynn in a who is it? Louise from Bob's Burgers hat. She had a Louise hat. Don't ask. It is absolutely crazy. She's got a Louise hat. It's basically a pink bunny hat. Like, it's just amazing. Like, this is why I love her so much. Like, she's actually in a pink bunny hat. That if you are aware of Bob's Burgers, I think it's Louise. Is it Louise? Burgers, Louise, I think it is. Yeah, Louise from Bob's Burgers. It's a hat. If it's not coined, trademark it. Look. Okay, so Andrew, you can't trademark something you're not using in commerce. Okay, I'm happy to coin something, but toxic copyright, I'm not going to be using in commerce. So you can't trademark something you're not using for trade. Okay, that's how that works. All right. So when people say, "Hey, I'm going to trademark this," that's one of the things that I always think implicitly they're basically saying, "I'm going to use this for a product kind of thing, or some kind of what's it like coined. When somebody coins a term, they're the first one to say it. Basically, that's what it is. It's coined. Anyway, I came across so Jubilee, right? Jubilee's this channel that does Surrounded, and I think like I only did one Surrounded on Fundamentalist Fails, and that was oh, who was it? It was somebody. It was Alex O'Connor's one, and it just like got copyright struck to the moon. It was bombarded from orbit by a group, and this group is known as JW affiliate, right? And they are the Jehovah's Witnesses, right? And they own this affiliate program that apparently copyright strikes, like they nuke people from orbit. Like it's absolutely, absolutely horrendous, right? So Jubilee's kind of one of those ones that if you want to do it, it's going to have to be like you can't live stream something because they'll take your live stream down. You can't, you know, it's very difficult to do. But anyway, that aside, which I want to do a video about it, but they are toxic copyright, basically. The thing about Jordan Peterson, right? Jordan Peterson went on there. He talked to a number of atheists, and it was posted as atheists versus Christians. Somebody I know was on there. Danny was on there. Yeah, the Peterson one. Yeah, exactly, Andrew. Exactly. Did you see Danny on there? Yeah, I've butted heads with that. Look, Danny can be a bit much. He can be very, very aggressive. He can be really awesome as well. That's the thing. Danny's a mixed bag, and you know, I've butted heads with him. I don't hold any resentment towards the guy. He can just be a lot, and that's okay. You know, I can be a lot at times. It's all right. The problem with it is that sort of the way that Jordan Peterson talks about religion and God, you get the feeling he's not talking about anything except the mundane, right? Like that's what I get the feeling of, that there is nothing. Like when I say mundane, I mean physical, concrete, everyday beliefs in sort of things. It doesn't really it doesn't really come across as anything apart from metaphor, hyperbole, sort of anything more ordinary than psychology, people's psychology, right? That their beliefs in something psychological. So I I think that I would like to do something on it, but I'm going to have to be incredibly careful with the footage because Jubilee absolutely sucks. Like they are terrible. So, talking about it, like there was some really interesting points in there that he kind of did make, and it's impossible to know what he actually thinks because he simply won't tell people. He simply won't tell them whether he really thinks. His definition for a god was absolutely terrible. It isn't something I would use as a definition because we've already got terms for what he defines as a god. It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, so I would like to do something on that, but I found it very, very interesting what he had to say about sort of things like worship, like how he categorized worship as simply what you prioritize over anything. If we go with Jordan Peterson's definitions, atheism doesn't exist because everybody prioritizes something over another thing. So I don't know how you would say, hey, you are an atheist if simply your object of worship and hence your religion is just whatever you prioritize. I mean, we all prioritize stuff. You know, I prioritize my family or my wife and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. You know, does that make me in a religion towards my wife? No, of course not. And I'm not sure that I worship my wife. I'm not sure that I worship anything. I don't know what I would worship. It's very strange. It's incredibly strange that, you know, God is whatever you worship and you worship is whatever you prioritize, then, you know, uh, it's a very weird usage of words, in my opinion. It's a very sort of, incredibly weird usage of words, because to say you worship something, I think it has to be held at a higher elevation than just respect, or sort of worship implies a adulation of inerrancy. I think that somebody can't do anything wrong. Like if you worship something, you basically are saying that it's completely inerrant. And I don't know if I apply that to any things, but it's very strange, very, very strange person. I will go through it, but yeah, I don't know what I'd call it. I think I would call it sort of making God mundane. Like it is this, you see two streams going off from Christianity, in my opinion, at the moment. You see a stream that's basically saying, and they're getting more sort of fundamentalist, that the Bible is inerrant and that God is inerrant and God is all of these supernatural things and the creator of the universe. And that's sort of the creationist camp. The other route seems to be a God's just something mundane, right? That's just God's just a, you know, God is love, and that's all. That's just what we call God, and it's like, well, okay, but that doesn't give us any kind of moral direction from that. Like that doesn't give us any kind of, you know, justification for why we would do anything. It doesn't really, fly. I don't think yeah, and I think I will do a video about it because um yeah. Matt Delahunty. Well, it's interesting because he didn't want to debate. He doesn't want to debate per se. So he wants to have conversations. So he had a conversation with Matt Delahunty, and Matt Delahunty really pointed out that the problems with applying to mundane things sort of a term like God. There's this idea that it's in somehow authoritative, right? You've got an authority because of this term, yet you're applying it to everyday, just love or compassion, or just everyday things that we run into. Because the whole point about Christianity is it is a claim to authority, um, that comes from a decree, or some kind of authority from the creator of the universe, who knows what's best for everything, really. I mean, not just for humans, but for everything. So I really sort of, I mean, I don't look, if you want to define God as something every day, I can't stop you. It's just not how I would define God. um Yeah, the God-shaped hole. So basically, people have said before, and we've studied this and definitely found that people have this willingness to believe in something bigger than themselves. They call it the God-shaped hole. You're absolutely right, Jess. But if that is just being applied sort of to mundane things, then I don't know how you would claim to have any authority over moral, um, you know, moral decisions in the landscape. You don't have that. All you have is saying, hey, there's been a book written, it says all this stuff, and I'm claiming moral certainty because of that. Well, if those people wrote it based upon something just mundane, they had no more knowledge about what's right and wrong than people at the time did. They really didn't. So you know but yeah, I'll get started. But all I'm sort of saying is that sort of why we would sort of take the morality of these people, I don't know. I wouldn't take it anyway. I mean, I think that there's certain moral things you can take from the Bible, but as one person pointed out, they're not originating with Christianity. They never originated there. The Egyptians had the same moral ideas before them, And I believe the earliest moral code is the Code of Ur-Nama, which is sort of, I think it's Babylonian, and it predates any of it's the earliest moral code that we've got. So, all of these ideas predate Christianity. There's nothing really new about it. So yeah, it's just why listen to it? Oh, absolutely. You can take morals from Grimm's fairy tales. Absolutely. And Grimm's fairy tales have, that's what fables are. Fables are a story with a moral lesson in them. That is what it is. So, there's nothing wrong with taking fables for their moral lessons, like things like the Three Little Pigs, right? The whole idea that you ought to put time and work into what you build because it might have to withstand some kind of calamity. That's essentially the moral lesson in it. Yeah, it's a fable. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, a lot of mythology is, Andrew. That's sort of, a lot of it is. You see the Norse mythology. The Thor wrestling with the grandmother, and he doesn't take it seriously, but it turns out to be time kind of thing that everybody loses against in the end. Or death or something. Everybody loses in the end against this old lady. Is sort of not to underestimate. Like you can find moral lessons in any of these stories. It's not hard, you know. Although I dread to think what moral lessons the Greek myths have, because they're pretty wild, to be honest with you. I mean, what moral lessons do we get from Zeus? Like, don't stick your dick in crazy. Is that? I'm sorry. It just, yeah. Wow. Okay. So am I the asshole? Uh, let's find out. Now, just if you're here for the first time, none of these are curated. None of these are pre-selected. I will take them as I get them. I will be asking your opinion, and I love to know why you sort of think that who's in the right and who's in the wrong. Because it's not it is important who is in the right and who is in the wrong, but I think the more important part is why. I think sort of having a structure for basically saying it. Now, what I do is I sort of say, hey, what's the best for human well-being? And, keep in mind that we have to take care of ourselves before we take care of others. We have to at least provide for the people that are important to us. But at the end of the day is something, what we ought to do is prioritize well-being for people. Mm, absolutely. Okay, there's an update. My parents are forcing me to pay for my brother's grad school using money they never told me about. Okay, well, this sounds juicy. Um, the original post. Where's the original post? Did you put I want to see the original post. Please find original post here. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to the original post. I, 30 female, have been financially independent since graduating college. I worked practically full-time while studying, recently paid off my student loans on my own, and started saving to buy a home. I didn't apply to grad school because I couldn't afford it, and my parents made it pretty clear growing up that we need to stand on our own after high school. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, if they are poor, sure. My brother, 22 male, is honestly a genius. He worked really hard in school, got full academic ride to the great state school, and graduated with honors. I'm so proud of him. The problem now is he recently got into an extremely prestigious grad program that would open a lot of doors for him. He was hoping for scholarships or a paid internship to cover most of it, but it's not enough. Now he's facing tuition and housing costs in one of the most expensive cities in the world. Okay. My parents asked if I could help out, and I suggest that I contribute around $15,000 to get him through the first year. They'd match it, and he'd take out loans for the rest. I said no. I've been working for over a decade on my own goals, and I'm just now starting to save for a house. I don't feel comfortable putting that on hold, especially when I had to turn down opportunities because there was no help available to me. I think that's fair, to be honest with you. Oh, you can't see the post I'm reading? Oh, God damn it. Sorry, my bad. Peril of two monitors. No, no, that's just ineptitude on my part. Let's face it. I'm not going to say that was a monitor issue. That was a screen sharing issue. During the conversation, my mum got frustrated and said they'd be using my other fund to help him instead. I asked what she meant, and they said they had set aside about $25,000 for me back when I was in college, meant to be used for a future wedding. Really? Really? You're not allowing your kid to be educated because you're putting it aside for her wedding. Oh, why do I feel like this is the traditional family kind of thing? I was completely blindsided. I had no idea this fund existed. I asked why I wasn't told about it when I was considering grad school or now when I'm saving for a home. Said it was always intended for a wedding, not school or property. And since I haven't needed it, I'm no longer engaged or in a relationship, they decided to give it to my brother because he has a more immediate need. Wow, okay. I'm not going to lie, I was pissed. I never got a chance to make a case for how I could have used that money, and now it's just being handed over to someone else. I told them I feel hurt and left out. My mum said I was being unfair and the money was never promised, and if I didn't want it for a wedding, then it made sense to use it for something meaningful. My brother told me he didn't know about the wedding fund either, and he understands why I'd be upset, but said he didn't ask for it. He just wants to go to school and thought we were all trying to support one another. I know my brother worked hard and it isn't trying to take anything from me, but I can't help feeling like my parents are punishing me for being practical. Yeah, what I would like to know, and we'll go to the update before I go into the comments. What I would like to know is did the brother have a wedding fund, right? Or was this a dowry? So in the old days, if you're unaware, basically, women came with a dowry, because women weren't kind of valuable and men were, right? This is how fucked up it has been in the last few centuries. So a dowry was basically, a sort of certain type of amount of money that they would put together in order for you to take their daughter, right? So it was basically, um, you know, a dowry. Yeah, bride price. Yeah. So it's really weird that um, so the dowry was, essentially buying the woman, right? That's how it worked. They essentially, because they didn't have value, you would essentially buy them. Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it actually worked the other way, to be honest with you. Um, yeah, it's paid by the bride's family to the groom at the time of marriage. Well, it contrasts with, bride price or a dowry. Okay, so bride price is a payment by the groom, while a dowry is wealth transferred from the bride or her family to the groom. Um, yeah. So, this is the bride's. Yeah, okay. So this is the bride paying the groom, basically. Um, yes, and Aunt Jez got it right. Yes, so accepting a woman into your household is a financial burden because don't forget they don't work in this archaic, screwed up system. They don't work. So basically, they are like, well, you better take something to take care of her, kind of thing, until she produces something for you, i.e., children. It sort of is a bit transactional, and it's yeah. So I'd love to know whether they had a dower or the one for the man for the son. Probably not. To me, it seems like this is one of those really archaic, families that is like, well, we're going to, you know, um, provide a dowry for the woman so that she can get married and settle down and have kids, and that's all that. Yeah, it does feel a bit sexist in that respect, but let's see. Here's the update. Hold it. I'll just go back up to the top. Update. Thanks to everyone who commented on my original post. I really appreciate the insight, especially from those who have helped me understand why this hit such a nerve. Just to clarify, I have no intention of cutting my parents out over this. They let me live at home rent-free during college, gave me a lot of academic support growing up. I wasn't a naturally strong student like my brother, and have always been loving in most other ways. This situation hurt, but it doesn't erase everything they've done for me. Okay, just as a slight aside, intelligence for a start. Like, this guy's supposed to be a genius. Okay, a lot of people say that. Intelligence is kind of, not only is it very, very difficult to quantify, it also is completely overrated as well. Like, if you are incredibly intelligent and you don't have a strong work ethic, or you find studying hard, you're going to be overtaken by somebody who's not as intelligent but actually doing work. Like, that's the thing. Like, you can't just get by on being intelligent. It just doesn't work. You've got to have motivation and a good work ethic as well. So, this whole thing, well, he's a genius, he should get the thing. No, just because somebody's smarter doesn't necessarily mean they will be more productive for society. That is not the way things work out. I'm reminded a lot by there was a guy who and his name was Claire Patterson. I'll never forget his name, because he was not a genius. He was not extraordinary in his field. And he will say that himself, but what he was incredibly diligent, right? Claire Patterson. So he was wondering why he had a lot of lead in samples. So what he did was try to, like, and every time he tried to get samples to try and find out where the lead was coming from, he got more lead, and he had to say, well, the samples have to be contaminated. So what he did, being incredibly diligent, he basically made a room that had been completely sanitized from any contamination whatsoever. Just cleaned it, really, really cleaned it well. And so basically what he did through just sheer diligence in chasing down this is invent the clean room, which is an amazing thing that we have now to ensure there is no contamination in our samples. So Claire Patterson invented the clean room, and he also isolated the cause of the lead was coming from petrol. He isolated where that lead was coming from, which, if you don't know, leaded petrol in almost every first world country is banned now because of the, lead in the atmosphere. Our one's probably going to be plastics, like microplastics in everything that we consume. Pretty full on. Mother's Day was tense. As soon as I arrived, my mum said, I don't want another fight to ruin today. When I tried to bring up money again, my mum said, I don't want another fight to ruin today, when I tried to bring up the money again. I left after brunch. We finally talked this past weekend. My brother said he hadn't known about the wedding fund until I brought it up, and felt awful it was causing tension. He's rethinking grad school now, saying it might be smarter to get work experience first. He applied to MBA programs and jobs while finishing undergrad, graduated early in December, and he got into the program he planned to attend. Now he's planning to defer and focus the job search instead. Yeah, Jerry, totally, mate. Totally. And the thing is that, that might be a case why fertility rates are going down, might be microplastic. We don't know. We just don't know their effect. But they're kind of everywhere. He also told me our parents said I might help with the cost. He'd planned to pay me back, but realized he wouldn't earn anything for a few years and would still set me back. That's part of why he reconsidered. My mum wasn't happy. She said she didn't want to give up an amazing opportunity because I was being bitter. Wow. Okay, that's fucked. Like, seriously. I found out about the money during a conversation where I was being asked to hand over $15,000 for someone else's future. That was painful, especially since I'd turned down opportunities because no help was available. I just wish I'd known. That's when my dad stepped in. Uh-oh. After I was born, he started saving for what he imagined as my dream wedding. Oh, for fuck's sake. It was sentimental to him. When my brother was born, they saved a similar amount for his wedding or family expenses. Okay, so when they did the same for the brother. Okay. All right. So that's one question I had that's been cleared up. So they were saving for his wedding as well. Neither of us knew these funds existed. They only considered using his for school when other aid fell short. After I said no, they decided to make use of both funds to help him and figured they'd replenish mine later. Sure. I get why it made sense to them, but it still hurt. Many commenters pointed out the situation was sexist, even if unintentionally. It is. It's basically saying, well, we're going to use the marriage fund to help your brother get an education, but we're not going to help the marriage fund to help you get an education. So essentially, what they're doing is they're prioritizing marriage over education as a priority for their daughter, but they're prioritizing education over marriage for their son, and that is just sexist. I'm sorry, it is. um it's hard not to feel like I was expected to get married while my brother was expected to succeed. Well, it depends what success is. Like I get what they're saying, yes. To succeed in their career, basically. I don't think that's what they meant, but that's how it felt. To their credit, they listened. My dad apologized for not telling me sooner. My mum didn't fully agree, but I think she heard me. My brother asked if I'd help with his resume and interview prep, and I said yes. I told him I know this isn't his fault. He's worked hard and deserves what he's earned. I just need to feel like my path mattered too. We're not back to 100%, but it feels better. I'm glad we talked. Yeah, so communication, people. Tell your brother if that's upsetting you, for sure. I do like this one, but yeah, I don't think she's being an asshole at all. I don't, I don't see why, if she's sort of putting in for a house and real estate, I don't see why she should be paying for your brother's education, especially because you couldn't pay for your own. For a start, can I just say it's so damn criminal that people just have to choose between owning real estate or an education. Like, that is horrible. That is absolutely horrible. I can understand why young people are so upset at the moment, but you know, ugh. Yeah, I don't know, Jerry. I don't know. It might not do anything. It may do something. I don't know. I just try to minimize my plastic, mate. That's all I do. I mean, someone was commented at the store. We use, instead of getting the plastic bags for fruit and vegetables, we use these just reusable ones, just to sort of try to minimize the plastic kind of thing. It's something. I always feel sort of not great about the amount of plastic in my cart, but the, I don't kill myself over it. There's certain things I can't do, but that's something I can cut out, so I do. Um, and I try. Like, all you can do is try, mate. That's all you can do. Let's see. Where's my poll? I wanna grab hold of the poll. Start a poll, absolutely. Was the poster right for refusing to pay for brother's education? And also, so there is also something to be said that this is kind of a first world problem kind of thing. You have access to secondary education. There's some families that they wouldn't be able to do any of this, and we've got to remember that. Um, okay, and Robin Webster, thank you, Robin, gifted one readership. Thank you so much, and it hit Tilting windmill. Wow, what a shot. Okay, yeah, no, tilting's awesome. That's good mojo. That is good mojo. That is absolutely good mojo. Love it. Wow, he didn't tilt enough apparently, or Robin's aim is too good. Robin's aim maybe is too good. All right, let's see what the Redditors got to say. So glad to hear that you moved it forward and your family members each made their own efforts. Sounds like a good family. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it does sound like a good family. My brother's a good kid. Honestly, the silence for the past few weeks has been super weird since we send each other memes at least a few times a week. So I guess what you have to remember, so I personally have up a personal bill of rights, things that I consider to be my right. One of them is I have the right to be angry, even at people that I love. You have that right to say, "Hey, I'm not upset," and she's not even angry at him. She's angry at the situation, and I can totally understand that. But I can totally understand how he feels responsible for it. But it's not anything to do with him. But I think there's a case to be made that some people feel like if you're angry at a situation, you have to be angry at them, and that's not the case. Um, it's important though. I like that she is actually telling him, "Hey, this isn't about you. It's just Tori, so good to see you. You're back." And Jess is here. Aunt Jer is here. Hello, Aunt Jer. Phantom. I've been neglecting my hello, my parasocial stuff. BTF Wayne is here in the house. Toilet seat is apparently here. Who doesn't like me yapping? Are you sure you're in the right stream? Are you sure you're in the right stream? Um, okay. Yeah, and so your mother has some deep-seated issues. Be careful with that. Good luck to you all. Yeah, and you'll notice this about people that are from the boomer generation. They will have these ideas of marriage and sort of, gender roles that are pretty outdated and sort of not really useful anymore. Aye, aye, aye. Science slice. Your brother seems like the only decent person in your family. Honestly, it is better to get some work experience before getting an MBA. But unless he makes bank during his years off, expect this issue to come up again. It's real shitty of them to have that money saved for you, but try to spend it on him, especially when you can use it for your house savings. Or you could go to grad school. Yeah, exactly. Some workplaces will pay for your MBA if you show promise, so the problem may solve itself. Uh, yeah, don't know about that. I'm a parent. What yours did was super shitty. I'd never do this to my kids. Your mum clearly prefers his son and it shows. Yeah, I mean, some mothers really do dote on their sons, like and stuff like that. I didn't have any sisters, so I wouldn't know. Um, since some people are getting hung up over the wedding fund money, I couldn't include it due to the character limit. After our talk, my parents agreed to add my name to the savings account so I can access the money directly. They asked that I withdraw it in chunks of time for tax reasons, but it's mine now. My dad still hopes I'll use it for a wedding someday instead of a house, but ultimately he said the decision is up to me. As for my brother, he said he'll access to his account in the same way when he turns 30, just to keep things fair. Look, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Um, like from a pragmatic standpoint, purely pragmatic, spending on a house is going to be way better than spending on a wedding. Okay, the wedding will come and go, and yeah, it's great memories and all of that kind of stuff. It from purely pragmatic standpoint, a house is a way better investment. Just saying, like just get out of that rent trap. It's yeah. You're the asshole for letting your shitty parents. Okay, all right, yeah, yeah, okay. Jeez, these people sometimes. Not the asshole. Those are really sexist expectations. If they wanted to financially support you, they'd give you the choice of using funds for education or travel or home or wedding. That's what I've done with my daughters, who I've been saving for since they were born. But despite it being an asshole move, it is their choice how they spend their money, and is presumably still their money rather than the account in your name. So in practice, the asshole element was telling you that it was your money in the same move they snatched it away from you again. That was really, that's the sexism that underpinned that decision, which clearly been there all along. Yeah, and I kind of agree with that. I do. Like it's really it's almost like they don't realize that they're sort of, got have in their minds this idea of their daughter being married and making up a home, and their son, going out and succeeding in the world with a good education. That's almost what they've got in the back of their minds. And I don't blame them for it. I don't like sort of say, hey, you know, I think something has to change there. How long does land last? I don't know. Uh, what what I don't know. How long's Australia been around for? Like a hundred, millions, billions of years? I have no idea. Millions probably. How long does land last for? Quite a long time. Quite a long time. Okay, let's see what people have to say. Um, hu- Hungry white women aren't to be inherently trusted. Okay, all right. Is that the three bears? Is that okay? Um, Jess says boys go to college, girls get married off. Yeah, and that is the expectation in some of them. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. Andrew says, "So what if you don't get married? What the fuck?" Yeah. 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 No, I think I think it's basically, you'll use it for something else. I would presume in those conservative families, like they will use it for something else. Because basically in those conservative, like when you look at dowry and conservatism, it's for taking care of the woman, because the woman can't take care of herself in these ridiculously conservative and outdated ideas. So like, because the family has to keep the woman, they keep the dowry, they keep the money for themselves, because they've got to support this person who's incapable of taking care of themselves. Left hand judge says women didn't work, they had to bribe the husband. Yep, exactly. Yeah, and Ancha's got it right. And what accepting one was this financial burden. I'm sorry she has to be eaten, eat and have clothes. Here's some money. Yeah, yeah, like she couldn't buy, like, work and buy the food and clothes herself. No, women are incapable of that kind of thing. Wow, wow. Um, the original marriage contracts does not get discussed enough. Yeah, and sort of it's something that we've left behind, but there seems to be a real conservative push to bring that back. They seem to blame all of the problems of society upon women being released into the workforce, which is just like, it is the most stupid idea I've ever heard in my life. Like, we don't have enough qualified and educated people to do these jobs, but for some reason, taking all the women away would just solve everything. And no, it wouldn't solve everything. You'd just have a lot of terrible people in the workplace. Like, I don't. It just. I don't understand it. Like, productivity is it's king in sort of workforce, like how much you're producing, and I don't see as taking away half the workforce as really achieving that. It's just silly. Um, Andrew, no limitations. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I did get the right one. Andrew said, speaking of arranged marriages, an old school buddy owes me a mail order bride. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's terrible. Jess says every aspect of marriage is sexist. I think originally every aspect is sexist. I think that, I mean, a marriage is what you make it, and the values that you have in a marriage is what values you bring into it. I think, Jess. So, you know, I don't like, the only reason Lynn and I are married is because legally we have more standing to do things like, be in a hospital if somebody gets hurt, or more control over the finances if somebody, takes a tumble or something, like that. That's really the only reason we're married. So I think it is what you bring into it. Like the old school idea of marriage, absolutely, but that doesn't mean it has to be now. Certain cultures still do this. Yeah, absolutely do. Yeah. Art Jess says mail order bride always makes me think of a man opening an envelope and a paper woman sliding out and floating to the floor. Yeah, no, I have the mental image of, a big box, like, and a woman jumps out of it like a cake. Like, it's just silly. Um, my folks, they did the contract. Essentially, it fell apart eventually. Yeah, sorry to hear that. Archer says, "Just go into student loan debt like everyone else." Damn. Yeah, no, you know, that's probably a bad idea. Don't listen to Archer. Um, Sterling Nash says, "Tell these people you won't last half the money, or they don't get to see their possible future grandkids. That should set them straight on who holds all the cards." I don't think that doing ultimatums isn't necessarily helpful, Sterling. Jess says, "It sure sounds like the number one role of a child is to satisfy their parents' ego. Since daughter is neither pursuing education or marriage, she can't make them proud, so she's less important." Um, yeah, I can see where that perspective comes from. But I don't think it's even pursuing education that's priority. I think that sort of they've gotten their idea that, it really it matters what you think success is for somebody. Obviously, the daughter thinks that success is being financially, emotionally, and, secure in life, like being able to, make a household, have the life that she deems to be fulfilling. And, her parents, obviously, their idea of success is to get married. So I think there is just yeah, there's a problem there, right? Definitely is a problem there. You have your groceries delivered? Fair enough. Fair enough. Jessica says, under ordinary circumstances, if money troubles rise and some unfair risk redistribution has to happen, the solution is just an offer of restitution. Usually, yes. Jeff Had a Jedi says the poster is not wrong. She should use the money as she seems fit. To me, yeah, especially as I think that a house is a much more sound financial investment than a wedding. Don't get me wrong. If you've got the money for a wedding and you want to do it, totally up to you. But if you know, an education, that's a good investment, sure. But you're not talking about your education. You're talking about somebody else's education. That isn't a good investment for you. That's a good investment for somebody else, but not for you. Um, Jessica says, but offers of restitution are much more difficult when we're talking about hundreds of dollars, but tens of thousands of dollars. Well, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Jerry says, what I found out is that land ownership here goes back over 100 years. It was taken from natives. Kentucky was a county of is that Vancouver, or what's VA? Virginia? Is it Virginia? Is it Virginia? KY was a county of, look, I'm not a um yeah, it's Virginia, right? Yeah, Virginia. Okay. Um, Memories are forever. Yeah, don't think that's true. Jessica says parents using the trust fund money to satisfy the goals for their children. their goals for their children, not letting the children use the money to satisfy their own goals. Yeah, basically that's it. They're basically making these decisions on behalf of their children with money they've set aside for the children. I mean, it is their money. They can decide if they want to, give it and what conditions they do want to give it. But at the end of the day, it's kind of a real crappy thing to treat your daughter in one way and your son in another. That's really the crux of it. Um, Yeah, well, I do know my mother, she wasn't allowed to go to university or college or anything like that because she was a woman. She had to like do typing and get a job as a secretary. Really crappy stuff. So, um, and she was absolutely fantastic. She would have done really well, but she went back to university later in life. So, good on her. But yeah, there is that sentiment from some of these parents that women aren't supposed to go to get an education. You know, I don't know what to tell you. It's just the way some people think, and it's pretty crap. It is pretty crap. All right, let's see how the poll did. Poster behaved admirably. Yeah, I kind of admit. I do agree. I do agree. Definitely do agree. Okay. Well, that was the update. That is an ad. Ignore that. Mandizzle. Okay, interesting. Am I the arsehole for not letting my stepson's dog stay with us? Well, it depends on the dog and it depends who you're with. If it's just you don't like the dog, maybe a little. If it's that the dog is not trained or somebody hasn't is allergic to dogs, then absolutely not. I don't, I don't really see why you would have to have a dog stay with you if you're not particularly fond of dogs. I don't know. Uh, but my initial thing says a little bit, yeah. But if there's a reason, it all depends on the reason for this one, I think. Oh, what's MO? Let me see. Uh, I was about to say Montana. It wouldn't mean Montana. What's MO? It's not Mississippi. It's not Massachusetts. What's MO? I don't know what MO is. Somebody help me. Look, I was going to say Montreal. I won't lie, but I know that's at a Canadian city, not an American state. Missouri. Oh, Missouri. Wait, what's MI then? Is that Mississippi? Like, I would think that Missouri would be MI. Is Michigan. Okay, gotcha. MI is Michigan. Gotcha. Okay, that's too hard. All right. You guys have to like put a limit on your states. Look, why do you want to add Canada as another state? Seriously, all it means is you've got another freaking capital to remember and stuff. Stop it. Stop it. Get help. Stop it. Like we've only got like 5 states and 2 territories or something. Just relax on the states, guys. Seriously, just settle the fuck down. You've got too many states. You're at your limit. That's enough. Stop. Stop. Okay. Am I the asshole for letting my stepson's dog stay with us? Okay. My 13-year-old stepson's mother. So your partner. Okay. So stepson's mother. So your wife. Okay, that's a very weird way to say it. Sure. Brought him a puppy over the weekend. Awesome. It was our weekend with our son when they picked him up, and he asked if he could bring him over to his house for his younger siblings to meet him. We said okay, but only for a bit outside because I am mildly allergic. Okay, well, if someone's allergic, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. In addition, we don't want to be responsible for an animal in our hectic lives. After the puppy left, my stepson said he will need to bring the dog over when his mum is too busy to watch him because the dog is his responsibility. I said we won't be able to do that and explained why for the reasons above. I thought it was settled. Ah, you fool! You fool. Okay, so she isn't with all right, so this is the woman. This is the woman in this situation, I think. Um, I thought it was settled. Today, during her parenting time, she dropped him off because she has a doctor's appointment and can't watch him. I told my husband this is a slippery slope and he needs to tell her she can't drop the dog off anymore unless she gets direct permission from my husband, but would prefer to not allow it at all. My stepson didn't like that and thinks I'm being unreasonable. As a side note, my husband and his ex wife don't have an amicable relationship. Okay, well, that's very short and doesn't go into a lot. I do have questions. Um, like why you can't talk to the woman? Maybe that's too much. Well, if they're not amicable, maybe she can't. Um, I Yeah, this is hard. This is hard. I don't think she's being if she's allergic to it, she's allergic to it. That they if they want like I don't understand that if you share custody of a child, why you wouldn't check to see with the other parents whether anybody has a problem with them having a puppy or a dog. I don't get it. Like I don't understand that. Yeah, so she's allergic, she doesn't want the dog there. I think that's fair enough. Like the stepson's got to realize that not everyone is going to be able to be around his dog. There are people allergic out there. It happens. I don't think she's being an asshole at all. I I you can't have a dog round. You're allergic to it. I mean, mildly allergic. Um, Oh, this is a hard one because I mean, if you're mildly allergic, you could just have the dog outside or something, right? Like maybe um if your son's responsible for the dog, like you shouldn't have to be. But yeah, a lot of these situations end up, yeah, your child is responsible for the dog. Like you give them the money to pay for the purchase that you make. So I don't think it's a but I think that even if you're mildly allergic, if it's going to be a hassle to your life, I think that you should be able to say, hey, no, we can't take the dog. I mean, an allergy is an allergy. It's sort of yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's sort of why would you not check with the other parents whether anybody had that problem is beyond me. It's completely beyond me. I uh, why didn't you check? All right, let's put the poll up. Let's get it up. Let's get this poll up. It's just sounding worse and worse. Was the poster right for refusing to have dog around? Oh, I just had an alarm go off. What's that alarm for? Oh yes, yeah, yeah. Cool, 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 cool. Just to let everybody know, I will be doing an interview tomorrow with the Baja Con guys just to go through it. I'm very interested actually what they're doing and how they're doing and everything that's going to be on there and because I haven't really been to any conference at all, I'm kind of very interested in what they're doing. So I got to email them and make sure we are on the same page and everything because I was terrible last time. Um, yeah, I don't think so. I think if someone is allergic, they're allergic, and they shouldn't just have to have, you know. I know that Lynn's allergic to dogs as well, and we don't like dogs coming round or coming in because she's allergic to them. And it might be like, oh, well, you're only mildly alert, you're not going to die. And it's like, yeah, but if you've ever had like hay fever, a mild allergy can be a real pain in the ass. And it isn't just while the dog's there, by the way, like they leave fur and that causes ongoing issues. Like, I'm really sorry, but I don't think people realize how frustrating and annoying it is to be sneezy and sort of leaking and sniffling for days on end. Like that sucks. It's a mild allergy, sure, but when it's ongoing, it sucks. Okay, like it actually sucks. So I don't think that's I don't think that's a good idea. Galactic Overlord, not the asshole. My 13-year-old stepson's mother bought him a puppy over the week. The dog is his responsibility. No, your stepson's mother bought a dog. The responsibility is hers and hers alone. She had a doctor's appointment and can't watch him. Too fucking bad for her. She'd have factored in boarding costs when making her initial purchasing decision. Okay, settle down. Settle down. Reddit, you can be really. I agree with the sentiment, but Jesus, Reddit, you have to be so harsh about it. Wow. Redditors are brutal, mate. They are brutal. No. I passed in French fry. No. I love dogs. Love dogs. But that dog is mum and step son's dog, not yours. Nope on the dropping off dog without explicit permission. Did she consult you at all before buying dog? Yes, and that's the problem. That's the problem. No, right? She didn't. No to all of this dog dropping off. No. No, she never let us know at all. Any communication about this has been through the child, unfortunately. Yeah, no, that is the problem, right? That's the problem. You have to go, stop communicating through the child. Okay, stop it. They might not have the best relationship. They got to learn how to communicate without sort of using the child as the translator. No, stop. The dog and the child are being used as weapons between your husband and his ex. Not, I don't think that's true. I don't know that. Anyway, it may be true. I don't know that's the case. It could just, yeah. Mum can die by a dog crate. Pup we find alone for a few hours. The poster said I was confused about that as well. He said it would only be for an hour. I assumed even new puppies can be left alone for short periods, but I didn't know for sure. Well, probably because you're allergic to dogs and don't keep dogs is the reason why you don't know. Kind of weird. Yeah, I think that agreement has to be made. Like, this is why you check with, if you're buying a dog for your son and you're expecting somebody else's household to take care of the dog when they have custody, why would you not talk to them about it? They have the custody as well. They're going to be taking care of it. Like, this is something like people treat it like, well, whatever I do in my household will be fine for this other household. Stop doing that. Like, seriously. You can call up and say, hey, I'm thinking of getting a dog. If they're over at your house, will you take care of the dog or help them take care of the dog? Because I don't know, me as a 13-year-old, I was probably, I could be trusted to feed the dog and things like that, but I don't know about responsibility for it. I think that has to come sort of slowly. I don't know. It's very strange. This is a strange situation. And I think it is just the case that one parent out of a split family has made a decision without including anybody else. I don't know. Like, this is weird. Like, I mean, I come from a broken home myself. My parents divorced, and there is no way that like my mother would buy a dog for somebody without, sort of giving my dad a heads up, or, is this okay for the dog to come around? Like, and he wasn't even allergic to dogs. He liked dogs. It's just, you don't do that kind of thing. You have to talk to your ex if there's a child involved, not just, hey, tell your mother this or tell your father this. Like, that seems so bad. I wouldn't trust it seems like a game of telephone, like, tell your father this. Why you're using a 13-year-old as that intermediate is beyond me. It's wow. Wow. That's horrible. I don't know what the hell is going on there, but wow. Let's see. Big dog versus little apartment. No, yeah, I mean, we see people in our apartments, and occasionally people will have like a dog, and it's like, I don't think, I don't think. Look, okay, it's not up to me to judge. I don't know the situation that people are in, but I'm not even sure that any size dog is good in any apartment. Like, I don't, if they're going out to walk it, maybe sure. I mean, I'm not a dog expert. I don't know what's best for them, but at the same time, um, we you hear dogs crying occasionally, and it kind of is really heartbreaking. It really is. But I don't know any size dog in an apartment. It's just, they to my mind, they need a yard. They need some place to run around. If people are fine running around their unit, well, I don't know. Just says, I used to work at UPS. I know all the state abbreviations. Well, I know all of my state abbreviations. Thank you very much, Aunt Jer. It's only 7 of them. Shut up. It's not important. Phantom says, "Oh, I think we can do better than that. Provinces are too big, then if you split up, we could probably get 80 or 90 states." Look, it goes by population, okay, not surface area. Like, it goes by population. Hey, my unfinished Kemming journey. All right. I don't know what that is. Is that a real word, or is that something you've made up? I don't know what that is. Am I going to regret looking this up? The art of learning. Okay. The art of learning. Okay. Um, no, just go stay in a hotel. You can come back when the step monster and puppy leave. Easy peasy. Yeah, I'm not sure they can afford a hotel. I'm not sure that people should have to go to a hotel rather than stay at home. Um, yeah. Jessica says it sounds mildly ableist, not from the sun, but in general. People with physical problems are always pressured and expected to suck it up and suffer in silence. Yeah, and sort of, you do get people that expect you to love their pet exactly the same as they love it, and that is an unrealistic expectation. There are people with phobias of dogs. There's people allergic to dogs, but there are some dog lovers out there that expect everyone to absolutely adore dogs, and that is not the case. I don't have a problem with dogs. I'm not a huge fan of them. I'm more of a cat person. Lynn is allergic to cats and dogs. And so if somebody has a dog, they're like, oh, it's just so friendly. It's like, yeah, that's the problem. Like, that is the problem. Yeah, I don't know what that is all about. It's just sort of this idea, because I love it, you have to love it too. Sterling Nash says, my brother-in-law had to leave his dog with his mum when he married my sister because her kids were allergic to dogs. Yeah, exactly. And then I think that's the responsible thing to do. And Jessica says, or you can have to take the anti-allergy pills several times a day, every day. Yeah, antihistamines and stuff. And that can have problems and side effects, like any drug. it's unrealistic to expect somebody to do that. If you're staying at a person's place for a week or something, I can understand you saying, "Yeah, okay, I'll do that." I can understand that. But if you're living there permanently, yeah, that's not really a solution. Um, they would not have managed to live in the same house as the dog, says Sterling Nash. I'm the same with cats. I like them, but highly allergic. Yeah, same with Lynn. She likes cats, but highly allergic. Yeah. Aunt Jess says, and then you have to do a complete deep clean of your whole house whenever the animal leaves to alleviate allergies. Correct. Yes. I mean, it doesn't last forever. Like I think it's just something in the saliva or the fur or something like that just wears off, but it still happens. Yeah, Jess. Classic Reddit hyperbole. The slightest, mildest misfortune is actually proof they would rat you out to the Nazis if given the opportunity. Yeah, no, I've noticed that with Reddit. Every slight is the greatest insult. Every mistake is the most catastrophic blunder. Like it's just I don't know. Maybe people are searching for drama in their lives. It's just, oh, I accidentally, dropped this, and it's like, oh, that is the most horrendous blunder I've ever seen in my entire life. You should be ashamed of it. It's just like settle down, Reddit. Not everything is the greatest of all time. Sterling Nash says, yes, don't give pep to people without them agreeing to it beforehand. It's a recipe for disaster. Pets aren't something to be taken lightly. It's a huge responsibility and commitment. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you, Sterling. And I think a lot of that goes on. Like people gift pets to people that, you know, have no, like they didn't even consider themselves ready to own a pet. Um, I even get put out when people give us plants. It's like I don't know why you're giving me a plant. I don't want to take care of a plant. I don't like. I mean, it's not that I don't like plants. It's just I don't. I'm gonna kill it. I'm sorry. I'm not good at it. Andrew says, yeah, but it's a boy's dog. That's a companion. Dogs are great emotional support. I could have used one of those. I could have used one those years I was more alone than I am now. Luckily, I got dogs around me now. Yeah, sure, Andrew, but you've got to take into account that if somebody in the household is allergic, it's a really bad gift. Yeah, okay, the son gets something emotionally, but you're harming someone physically. Like it those allergies suck. So, like, I get you. If there wasn't an allergic person around, even hang on, even if there wasn't an allergic person around, I still think you should be running it by the other household that your son lives in if they've got shared custody to see whether they have the time and responsibility of taking on this is a responsibility, not just a great gift. Um, Jessica says, in general, dogs are so much more responsibility, not just feeding, but walking them, playing with them, cleaning them, taking them out to the bathroom. Yeah, and that's without even, the vet visits, worming, training, right? You've got to train a dog. You can't just like, you're, are you going to trust a 13-year-old to train a dog properly? Right? That's really a problem because I don't think, maybe they're really good with dogs, but I don't think a 13-year-old should have the responsibility of training a dog to behave. Yeah. When it's a young pup, it's a bit more, but each dog has its own personality. Well, yeah, absolutely. Not only are there all only 6 Australian states, but they all start with a different letter. Yeah, absolutely. My state has the same abbreviation as one of your states. Is it WA? Is it WA? I'm trying to think of what else that could be. It's WA, isn't it? Um, and that's Washington State, I believe. Yeah, I'm right. I know I'm right. My unfinished journey says a friend of mine wanted to give his mum a dog after her previous dog died, even though she said she didn't want one. He gave the dog to her anyway. She refused to take the critter. Yeah, that's sort of why you would do that is completely beyond me, Journey. I don't like if she says no, I don't want one. Then he tried to pawn the pup off on me, and I said no. That's fair. I totally get it. Kemming is an attempt to mimic the word kerning with bad kerning applied to it. Yep, it's another dapper dinosaur in charge. So kerning is reducing the spacing between letters in order to make it more readable, I believe. So it's sort of saying that like kemming is kerning done badly. I get what you mean. That is ironic. Yes. It's another dapper inside joke. Okay. It's not that much training? What? What? Really? I mean, yeah, to an adult, sure, but to a 13-year-old? You've gotta teach it to, house train it, right? You've gotta house train the dog. You've gotta teach it how to sit, heel, you've got to teach it to stay off furniture if that's what you want it to do. Like, training dogs isn't nothing. I I look, I wow. Some breeds are more needy than others. That is true, yes. Um, not sit, s stay maybe? Really? You wouldn't teach a dog to sit? I I don't know. I've only had a couple of dogs in my life, and always you teach them how to sit. And I'm not saying that it's a particularly onus job for an adult. I'm saying that it's a huge responsibility for a 13-year-old, you know? It's not hard though. Maybe because you're yeah, I mean, you were raised with dogs and trained a lot, but were you training them from the age of 13? I don't know. Or were your parents training them when you were 13? And, healing is important as well. So, like, if the dog's running ahead when you're out walking it and tugging on the leash, you can tell it to heel and come back to you. This is important stuff. If the dog starts to bite, are you going to trust a 13-year-old to train it not to bite? Another one is training it not to beg. Right? Like, this is the thing, like, a lot of people do not like it if you go to their house, they're eating something, and the dog is, like, sitting on their foot looking up at them. That's not what the dog should be doing. Yeah, so it was both you and your parents, right, yeah, both of us. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I totally get you, but I'm not sure I would trust a 13-year-old to do that. Not many bite. Yeah, no, I know, but if a dog starts to, you've got to train it not to. That's the whole point. Um, is a dapper one? Where did the boblicle come from? Was that a dapper one as well? Was that a dapper one as well? Left-handed Jedi with $5. My Saint Bernard is a level 10 cleric and heals very well. Oh, very droll. No, I actually like that. I actually like that. Yeah. Yeah. You gotta teach your dog to heal. Yes, you've got to teach it surgery and clerical spells. Yeah, nice one. No, I agree, Andrew. That's a nice one. I like it. I like it a lot. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah, love it, love it. That's fantastic. Oh boy. Absolutely love it. Thanks. Thanks, Jedi. Nice. Okay. And the poll says the poster behaved admirably. Yeah, I totally agree. Oh, Boblical is Kip Davis? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Next up. Okay, and I might do this as my last one. I do apologize. It hasn't been an incredibly long time, but I'm gonna wrap up here and yeah, do some stuff. And I think I might do something maybe on that Jordan Peterson thing. I feel like I've got a lot to say about it. I feel like I've got a whole lot to say about it. Hellcat Shark. Am I the asshole because I do not want to be around my bio dad? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, if you know, so this whole idea that we get and talking about biblical about honor thy parents, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think that um unfortunately his only healing spell is lay on tongue. Actually, I think that's a paladin ability. But yeah, no, that's awesome. Lay on tongue. Okay. Okay. Um Okay, so I don't think your parents necessarily deserve your respect. I think that that's something that they have to earn as well as live up to a certain metric. So no. My unfinished sock with $2 says, "Don't be thoughtless with pets. Lick and share." Okay, I thought that was going to be lick and share, but that's okay. Like and share. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, sock. I really appreciate it. My unfinished sock. Shouldn't it be my unfinished kerning sock? Kemming sock? Anyway. So, my bio dad has been in and out of jail since I was a toddler. 22 now. Oh, damn. Yeah, no, okay. That sucks. That sucks. I wonder, lick and sniff. Oh, do you remember scratch and sniff? Like where you scratched the little thing and then you sniffed it and it would have a smell. I don't know why that was so big. Now I'm thinking about it, I have no idea. Um, yeah, okay. I just don't care for him anymore. I don't feel safe around him either. My grandparents don't seem to acknowledge this. Okay, so his parents, yeah. Um, wow, that's rough. That's really rough. Like if he's been in and out of jail, that's harsh. For example, when I was 14, they sent me over to his house for a couple of nights on their weekend with me. I remember sometimes he'd have random people over and either sent me and the kids outside or to our rooms when we had company. Yeah, he was probably doing drugs or something. He's pretty much done everything illegal minus more hardcore stuff. I genuinely don't feel safe with him getting out this week. Ugh. No, you're not the asshole. You're completely fine. Um, I Yeah, I think that you always have the right to feel safe, like to feel like you're in a safe environment. And if he doesn't, I'm really sorry, but that like your dad should make you feel safe, not unsafe. Um, maybe you can limit your interactions to public, like go out to a coffee shop or something and see him, stuff like that. You're 22 now. You can decide who you want to be around and on what terms you want the relationship to be. That's part of being an adult. You can make choices over what relationship that you want. Having said that, just because somebody has broken the law doesn't mean they're a threat to you. Okay, so we've got to separate that out. Like this father probably is no threat to his son, intentional threat. He probably would never hurt a hair on his son's head. It's just if he doesn't want to be around that stuff, that is that is fair. That is fine. Like, it's up to you to decide what makes you feel safe. But I wouldn't just equate it with because he's doing illegal things, he's got to be a danger. Um, people who do um, are on substances, they can accidentally be a danger, but it's not intentional. But that applies to even alcohol and things like that. So it doesn't mean that he's automatically a danger. And maybe we should stop thinking of it like that. But at the same time, you do get to choose who you want to be around, including if that is your family. That's my opinion. But I'll put the poll up. I don't see why he'd be an asshole for this. Definitely not. No, definitely not morally bankrupt for just saying, "Hey, my father's been in jail. He's come out. I don't particularly feel safe around him." Um, you know, and it's sort of, um, even if he has stopped, you don't have to give reasons for your own feelings. Like, how you feel is how you feel. It might be interesting. I have a lot of questions. Like, what did he go to jail for? Was it sort of drug issues? Was it something a bit worse? Like maybe assault. Um, should the poster have a relationship with their father? I'll put prison. Maybe he's been there for a long time. Um, so oh, thank you. Thank you. That makes me happy. My unfinished kerning sock. Yeah, all right. There we go. I don't I think that, so when it comes to ex felons and ex people that have had a problem, they have paid their debt to society. That doesn't mean you have to have a relationship with them, but really what we want to do is look at, well, if you can treat them as a normal member of society, that and welcome them back, then that may be best in the well-being of that society. Because if somebody feels like they're always going to be treated like a criminal no matter what they do, they will, that is one of the things that can make them reoffend. Now, I mean, I have had my cousin used to go out with a guy who was put in prison for assaulting a florist because he needed money, and so he robbed a florist, kind of thing. Um, like, who assaults a florist for a start? That was a dangerous dude, and I didn't really feel comfortable around him. Um, and um, but if someone's your father and they are trying to be better and trying to make a life after coming out of prison, if you can, I would say support them. But I'm definitely not going to call say that you're morally bankrupt for not wanting to be around a father that, obviously he was doing some sort of substance while telling you to leave as a child. There's obviously some massive deal there. Now, the question would be is whether you feel comfortable talking to them about it and why you are upset, right? Why um, you don't feel happy, but or comfortable or safe around them. But if you don't, then you can't really even have that conversation. So it's very difficult. Um, but definitely not morally bankrupt for feeling unsafe and wanting to feel safer. That is completely reasonable. And it's reasonable in this case because of your previous experience with him. I have a ton of questions though. Um, Minus more hardcore stuff like, how do you how do you say, like, what's more hardcore stuff? Like, if it is just substance abuse, then um, I would worry about cutting off um, somebody in your life that may need help. At the same time, you can't help somebody while feeling unsafe around them. So definitely not any, this person's doing nothing wrong by wanting to feel safe. Absolutely not. Okay, I will look at these people. Absolutely not the asshole. I had a garbage dad myself. You are not obligated to interact with anyone you don't want to, and don't feel comfortable. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Yeah, I mean, you can't, garbage dad. I think we've got to refrain from, if it is just substance abuse, I think we have to refrain from, using those kind of words about people. Um, Substance abuse is a terrible thing, and it really does destroy people into a shadow of what they were before. And um, while we can try to have some sympathy towards that illness, because addiction is an illness, at the same time, no, you don't have to interact with anyone you don't feel comfortable about, whether it is a result of illness or not. That is true. So, but try not to be that dismissive. A lot of people have had substance problems in the past and have gone on to make something of their lives that is very good. I try not to just minimize because of that. Um, I just feel weird about the whole thing. Like, my parents got mad I couldn't take off. Honestly, I didn't want to. Okay, interesting. So it's more your parents going, oh, it's weird because parents can act weird when their children do something wrong. They're like, oh, well, don't hold it against them. It's like, well, hold on a second. They're in the wrong here, not their kid. Um, Scarlet, not that one. Not the asshole. If you don't feel safe with him, be cautious. Don't put yourself in situations that are not comfortable for you. Over time, if as you get used to him, you might find that you start to feel safer or not. Either way, trust yourself. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who else are you supposed to trust, really? You know, if you're not going to go with your own instincts, whose instincts are you going to use? Um, Instincts can be completely wrong, but at the same time, they're there to tell you something. And if you don't feel safe with somebody, then yeah, definitely listen to that. Um, sometimes, sometimes we can pick up on things instinctively that our sort of so there's type 1 and type 2 thinking. Type 1 is that instinctual gut feeling that we get. Type 2 is the more clinical analysis. Sometimes that type 1 thinking, our instincts, can tell us something, like, don't trust this person, that is not our conscious brain realizing. Our subconscious has noticed something that we haven't noticed consciously, and it's screaming at us. However, be aware that um, type 1 thinking is often wrong, right? It just is often wrong. Our intuition isn't that great at getting a consistent level of response. Um, but at the same time, if your instincts tell you something, it's good to pay attention to them. It's good to be wary. If your instincts say don't trust this person, maybe because there's an association with another person, some mannerism that you've noticed, that not consciously but subconsciously, yeah, you've noticed that. It's a good idea to be wary, because worst case scenario, you're wary for no reason. Best case scenario, like, you've actually picked up on why there's something wrong there. So I think that listening to your instincts is important, while understanding they can be wrong. But there's no harm in sort of going, okay, I'm not getting a good feeling about this. I'm going to listen to this. Like, just be on the lookout. And I think that's really good advice. Sugar Huggle. Oh God, I hate to hear the origin story of that name. You're absolutely not the arsehole. Protecting your safety and peace of mind comes first, no matter who it is. You owe no one access to you, especially if they've made you feel unsafe. Yeah, absolutely. Just because someone donated genetic material, that doesn't automatically mean you can have a positive relationship with them. Yes, but I mean, this isn't someone that just donated genetic material. He did raise him in some part, even if that made him feel unsafe and weird in some part. So I don't think it's just donated genetic material. I don't think that's the case. But I think that, you know, his previous life has made this person feel unsafe, and that is completely understandable. Let's see what you lovely people have to say. Jessica says, I've told this story before on AIMBOT, but I deeply disliked my father and cut him out of my life at the first practical opportunity when I was 19. And that is fair enough, Jessica. Absolutely. Like if your dad is not conducive to your health, whether that be physical, mental, emotional, however, that is fair enough. You know, that is absolutely fair. Totally understandable. Archer says, choosing not to be around your dad when your dad is this guy sounds like healthy boundaries, especially because OP is adult. Yeah, absolutely, Archer. I think that they are adult enough to make their own decisions about who they want to be around. Andrew says, yeah, just because they are your dad doesn't mean you have to be around them, especially if they don't make you feel comfortable and or wanted to be around. Yeah, no, on the same page. On the same page. Just because my father wasn't doing dangerous or illegal things, he just didn't respect me. Tried to coerce my life choices. He only cared about me insofar as I did the things he wanted me to do. Yeah, I totally get that. Yes, yeah, and so, um, you know, that's entirely your choice, Jess. If somebody is upsetting to your emotional health and you're an adult, you can make that choice, and it's absolutely, you know, you're not the asshole for doing so. Um, you know, I think that sometimes parents, you know, I don't know your situation. Sometimes parents seem to only care about what they want you to do, but for some reason they've got in their head that that's the best thing for you. You know, it's like those Christians that go, "Oh, well, you don't do this, don't do that, do this, do that," and they're going, "Oh, I'm only saying so because I love you and I want you to be happy." It's like, yeah, but you're not listening to me when I tell you what will make me happy. That's the problem. They're going, well, this would make me happy. Why isn't it making you happy? Because people are different, dumbass. Because different people find different things that make them happy. And the weird thing is, there's somehow parents expect their children to be miniature people exactly the same as themselves. And that's so weird to me. Because, like, having a child, it's like a crapshoot. They could have completely different likes and dislikes to you. You know, you can't change that. And that happens all the time. It's weird. It's very strange. Um, Archer says they may have paid their debt to society, but paying their debt, making amends to their friends and family is a separate issue. Yeah, absolutely. Especially where substance abuse is concerned. Like, that's one of the things that generally you will do under programs is go around and apologize to everybody you've wronged, because usually it does come with a lot of wrongs, a lot of horrible things that you've done to people. Now, whether or not you're to blame for it because you're suffering from addiction, it is still your responsibility to make amends, to say that you are sorry that this happened. So it's not about blame, it's not about making you feel bad, it's about mending relationships which you have caused to be destroyed, and under that. So yeah, no, totally, absolutely, Jer, absolutely. Don't trust the cape, that's for sure. It's a lie. Look, I will always pay a Portal reference on this channel. I will always pay a Portal reference. Um, and Jessica says, yeah, might be a tiger in the bush, that but might be the wind. Don't risk it. Get away. Stay safe. Absolutely, and that's why we listen to our intuition. But it's important to listen to it. Be wary, but not let it control your life, because some of these fears that we have is just the wind. It isn't a rational fear. I mean, it's good to be wary, but we can't let it stop us from doing the things that we would do if rationally we can see that would be good for us. Like, so if, you know, if I'm afraid of I have social anxiety, for instance, and I say, oh, well, somebody could, you know, do this to me or do that to me. That may not be a rational fear. You know, you know, if you're stopping it from living your life, you want to go out and meet people, and that's stopping you, then it's important to say, hey, what rationally do I expect the outcome to be here? Because it's not going to be, well, I go out and people attack me or people are mean to me or any of this stuff. And rationally, I know that's the case, but your intuition may say, hey, you should be scared. And a lot of that is based upon previous experience. So um, that's the trick, isn't it? It's to be wary when you have that intuition, but still rely on your rationality to say, is that intuition realistic? I think in this case with this person, his intuition, you know, he can rationally say, hey, there's a reason why I am wary. It's because he's been in jail. He did this really illegal stuff or dodgy stuff while he was around. He doesn't feel safe because of a very rational reason. And I think that that's, you know, fair enough. But I think that what that person was saying, hey, see if there's some place you do feel safe, like out in public. That's a really good suggestion, because then you can start to see whether, you know, and start to analyze whether this is actually rational. But don't get me wrong, type one thinking, yeah, if you're not feeling safe, go to somewhere where is safe, or you do feel safer, and then start to analyze the situation. Because type 1 thinking is quick, but often incorrect. Type 2 thinking is insanely slow. And if you don't feel safe, yeah, you don't have the time to sit there and think about, oh, is there any rational reason? No, get to somewhere there's safe and then do that. And then, you know, reevaluate. And that's what we do. But yeah, good point. Very good point. Fear is the mind killer. You've been watching Dune. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. That and really big radioactive spiders. Look, okay, so if you have a fear of spiders, don't come to Australia. I'll just say that right now. Don't come here. If you've got a fear of spiders, don't come here. I don't. I'm fine with spiders. You know, I mean, I don't like them crawling on me or anything, but I'm fine with spiders. I can chew out a spider or two. That's fine. But then again, I grew up in a house where we would get huntsmen often, and huntsmen are these sort of, you know, saucer-sized spiders that would, like, you would look up on the wall and it would just be on the wall, right? Like this huntsman just on the wall, hanging out, and it would be like, wow, that's a big spider. Um, you know, I to be honest with you, I like huntsmen. So huntsmen, the thing about them is they hunt other insects. They really go after other spiders as well. So hey, you know, they're very placid, very not very dangerous at all. They don't bite humans. They're totally fine. And they kill other spiders that do hurt humans. So I'm cool with huntsmen. I'm cool with huntsmen. I'll say it loud and proud. And how did the thing I go? But yeah, no, I have like vivid memories of like being in my childhood home, and like you would you know, your mum would say, "Oh, there's a spider," and it's like you look up and there's like, seriously, it would be like literally about that big, like a saucer size, like it could, you know, it was a massive spider on the thing, and it would be a huntsman. They were awesome. Like, you know, and what do you do about it? Well, if you know it's near some electrical stuff, get it to leave. You know, but it was up way up on the ceiling. You just go, oh, he'll come down eventually. Like he'll leave eventually. Seriously, huntsmen are really non-aggressive and placid. They really are. Out in the bush, you get wolf spiders. That's a different story altogether. They are aggressive as hell. I remember I had a friend who was an electrician, and they were out doing a job in the bush. Now, I didn't see this, I only heard about it, but apparently he opened an electrical box in sort of there's a substation electrical box, opened up the electrical box, and a wolf spider literally jumped out at him. And the other technician that was with him, just ran off screaming. And I could imagine like a wolf spider coming at you from this electrical box. Insane. They're not that bad. They're not venomous, but they are aggressive and they will bite you. Wolf spiders suck. Huntsmen, fantastic. And that's my 2 cents. But thanks for coming, everybody. I will call it there because I'm still getting over a cold I had. It was interesting. I had like a scratchy throat and sort of everything on Thursday night. Thought Friday would be I'd be sick as I was not too bad. I was totally fine on Friday, and then Saturday it hit me. So yeah, and then Sunday it wasn't too bad again. So yeah, why not? Why not? But I'm still sort of getting over it. And yeah, you've been bitten by so many wolf spiders. Okay. Looking over your shoulder, I don't know what a DRC, hand-side spider, was just eyeing me. Yeah, huntsman's probably a little bit bigger than. Yeah, well, it depends on the size of your hand, really. So it depends on the size of your hand. But anyway, don't forget, be kind to yourself, be kind to each other. Lots of love, everybody, and take care. And I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will be back with something else very soon. And hopefully, I can post something without getting nuked from orbit by JW affiliates. Oh, Democratic Republic of Congo. Okay, cool. Yeah, I could imagine there'd be some big boys over there. Yeah. All right, peeps. Take care. See you.
This old switchboard could talk. Wow, your ears would sizzle. 1880. We take Alexander Graham Bell's invention for granted today. Perhaps we should. But isn't it incredible that millions and millions of people can talk simultaneously to practically any spot on Earth?